Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for your advanced look at the Marvel Zomnibus Returns from Marvel Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, before going any further, I do want to thank David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us an advance copy of this omnibus. This omnibus is due out in the direct market and book market on October 24th or 25th, depending on where you get your books. And speaking of direct market, book market, what we're looking at here is the standard edition cover. This is the one that's supplied by Hugh Lee. On the left-hand side is your direct market cover, and that is the one that is supplied by Greg Land. The direct market cover is only available at places like your local comic book store, cheapgraphicnovels.com, DianeBreedCollectors.com, WaltzComicShop.com, ComicsBugle.com, OrganicPriceBooks.com, Tales of Wonder, InStock Trades, and DCBS, places like that. But everything else underneath the dust jacket is the same. So let's go ahead and take a closer look. We have the Marvel Zombies logo here, Marvel logo, Marvel Zomnibus Returns, and then Marvel Zomnibus up here, Marvel Zombies, Marvel Zomnibus Returns, and then this image of Magneto. And Risen from the Dead, Parental Advisory. The covers of the books that are collected in here, and the Marvel logo, the ISBN, the retail price of this one being $125. Underneath the dust jacket, but first let's look over here at the flaps. You have a little synopsis as to what's collected in here, and then on the right hand side are some of the creators of the comics in here. Underneath said dust jacket is this image of this intergalactic being. Looks like he's blowing up. Looks like something's going on. But that looks like something that would be covered inside of the book. So I'm going to open this up, showcase what the artwork looks like, and talk a little bit about the stories, the premise. Because each one of these miniseries, with the exception of a couple, are just kind of standalone miniseries. This is a lot different than the Marvel's Omnibus, the very first one. And if you have the original Marvel's Omnibus, this is what they look like together on the shelf. So there you go. Who knows, there could be a third one sometime down the road. Alright, let's go ahead and crack this Zomnibus open. We have these green end sheets here, and this picture of Wolverine, Marvel's Omnibus, and Returns, the Marvel Zombies logo. This is from the very last story that's collected in here. And then the breakdown of what is collected in here. But this is mainly the credits. It's not really a table of contents. It tells you what creators worked on what particular series or what one-shot, including some like flashback artists, which I think it's really cool that they added that stuff in there too. And we kick it off with Deadpool, Merc with a Mouth. So this collects Deadpool, Merc with a Mouth 1 through 13, Zombies Christmas Carol 1 through 5, which is such a weird yet interesting story. The Marvel Zombies Destroy 1 through 5, Marvel Zombies Halloween one-shot, Marvel Zombies 1 through 4, the 2015, that's part of the Secret Wars Battle World story. And then Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies 1 through 4, another one of the Battle World story. And Marvel Zombie one-shot, Marvel Zombies Resurrection one-shot, and the Marvel Zombies Resurrection follow-up 4-issue miniseries. The book has 976 pages. Now, if you have the Deadpool Omnis and you're a big Deadpool collector, you already have this particular story. This is a 13-issue series. This is Merc with a Mouth. And this was collected in the Deadpool and Company Omnibus. So what Merc with a Mouth is pretty much the idea that AIM ends up contracting Wade Wilson to go to the Savage Land to get this biological weapon. And the biological weapon, of course, turns out to be his head. And his contact there at AIM is this young lady right here. This is Dr. Betty Swanson, who will be adventuring with Wade and his head throughout the series. Now, something that is really cool about this is that Arthur Sudiem comes in and does the covers, and it's of course it's a take on a classic movie, but they don't just stick to just horror movies this time around. There's a lot of homages to like other movies, including things like Pretty Woman. I'm actually trying to find an example of the kind of covers that he uses later on. Now, there's also Bill, Agent of AIM, in here, as opposed to Bob, Agent of Hydra. He's also one of the big players through these pages. This is from Alien, so that's a bad example. Through these pages. Here's some flashback issues, including Lady Deadpool and Captain Deadpool in this particular issue. But I wanted to show things like this. Like, this is Merc with a Mouth number 9, and of course that's from The Graduate. So they don't just stick to Lone Wolf and Cub, that's awesome, to just horror movies. So I found that very, I mean, it's very tongue-in-cheek. It's the gentleman that wrote the X-Men when it was relaunched, Victor Gischler. He was the one that did the X-Men versus Vampires. Bong Dazo doing the artwork, Kyle Baker doing some of the artwork, Mary H.K. Choi doing some of the artwork. Now, once that series is over, we go to one of the most strangest comics that's collected in here, and that is the Zombies Christmas Carol. That take everything from Charles Dickens' story and then just make it into a Marvel Zombies type of book. And that's what's in here. It doesn't have anything to do with Deadpool or his head, or honestly, even the Marvel Zombies. Maybe there's a little bit of a connection, but it's just a take on A Christmas Carol. And the way that it's done, it adds zombies in here. Very tongue-in-cheek, but there are some really creepy images in here. Some things that I was wondering, how did they get away with this? And then I noticed that it was parental advisory, and that makes sense. So if you know the story of A Christmas Carol, it's practically the same thing. However, there are zombies added in this particular version. And then we get the Marvel Zombies Destroy. This is a really interesting series because it feels like this was going to be a follow-up to Marvel Zombies 5. Because by the time we got to Marvel Zombies 5, we have characters like Machine Man. We had characters like Howard the Duck play a bigger role. That was written by Fred Van Lente. But this one is written by Frank Marafino. And then later on, it's Peter David that takes over the book. And this is kind of a what-if story. No, it is a what-if story. It's what if the Nazis had won World War II with the help of zombies. And now it's up to Howard the Duck and Dum Dum Dugan to form a new team of superheroes that can help destroy the Nazis and the zombies. That's exactly what this miniseries was. Got Asgardian gods in here. You've got a lot of twists and turns as to what happened to some other characters. Marvel Zombies Halloween. I had never read this one shot, and I think this and the Secret Wars with Elsa Bloodstone are my favorite stories in here. Just because I didn't know where it was going. You have this young lady right there with her son, and they're trying to survive this zombie apocalypse. She makes a little costume for him for Halloween, and he's like, couldn't you find Spider-Man? And she's like, no, besides, you're little, and that guy was really popular. He loses his cat, and there begins the adventure of trying to get the cat and her kid back because there are zombies out there trying to kill them. This one has a cute little twist and turnout. I think that's why I've really enjoyed it. So this is the Secret Wars book I was talking about. This is the Marvel Zombies book that features the character of Elsa. And Elsa, of course, is a character from the 616 universe. But in this particular story, she's in the battle world. She's in the Secret War during the 2015 Secret Wars book. This takes place in the Deadlands, where the Marvel zombies are roaming. Because if you remember in Secret Wars, some of the Marvel zombies briefly went into the miniseries. And this kind of showcases where they are. This was such a nice surprise. Just because I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. I didn't realize that Cy Spurrier was the writer on this, and Kev Walker, whom I've loved forever, like I've been a big fan of his art, is the artist on this. But this one definitely stands out. Elsa swears off to protect this young girl that she finds against all these hordes of zombies. Now, if you remember the Marvel Zombies, that does keep true here, is that they're intelligent, they can talk. They're not like brains or not talking zombies. They're actually thinking individuals, which always makes me question, why haven't they tried to find a cure instead of just wanting more and more brains? The Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies. This is another one of the Battle World story, and this is pretty much the characters of Wonder Man and the Human Torch and the Vision, and they're all connected, of course, because they all come from Hammond himself, teaming up with Hank Pym on how to stop the Ultron robots. However, it turns up to be more of a team book because they want to break free from the shield that is keeping them in this location, because they are aware of the other worlds, the other multiverses out there. And then we get Marvel Zombie, which is of course the character of Simon Garth, making a return in this world of Marvel Zombies. But this time around, he is one of the few zombies, or one of the few good zombies walking around the world, and it's everybody trying to kill him, while this little boy is like, no, he saved me. And then we get the Marvel's Zombies Resurrection. This is a really cool... This I think I did an overview of many years ago. I think maybe in 2019. With the premise. Because they take the idea of Marvel Zombies and give it a little bit of a spin. And I think this one is quite enjoyable too. And it's written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, who of course went on to do Superman and now writing Aliens. This one is wicked. I like this one. It's pretty creepy in the way that some of these characters are drawn. How the Marvel Zombies end up coming into this particular world is through the dead carcass of Galactus. The heroes of our world, not really our 616 universe, but a universe, get called a cry for help comes from the stars. So the X-Men, some of the Avengers, some of the Fantastic Four head on over to space to find out what exactly this cry for help was. And as it turns out, it is Captain Marvel and a bunch of other zombies, and they're going to be infecting our heroes one by one. This one's really powerful because I didn't expect to enjoy this one. I remember reading this one and I thought the same thing back then, because it doesn't really tie into the main Marvel Zombies book. That's why I said this one was a really interesting collection, because it's not like a follow-up. You don't have to read anything previously before this particular story to enjoy this one. This is literally just Marvel characters that got turned into zombies, and now they want to infect this particular world. And what I like about this one is just how relatable a lot of these characters are. It focuses less on the funny hijinks of the zombies and more on the characters and what is left of them and how they're going to retaliate, how they're going to deal with this. Like Spider-Man is left with Valeria and Franklin Richards when something happens to the Fantastic Four. So now it's up to him to kind of, keep it together, become a parent just like that. I thought that was really cool and a really powerful moment, and really captures who Spider-Man is. And the only thing I will say is I wish that they had kept his mask on a little bit longer. But that's what the final issues are about. All the way in the back, we have variant covers here. Some Rob Liefeld stuff, the Greg Land cover there. That's a really interesting cover here. Oh, it's the ant-size variant? Okay, that's what that is. Whoa. Alex Maleev's, that's creepy. Then a take on or an homage, rather, by Hugh Lee here on iZombie. Or Zombie, not iZombie. Peach Momoko's take. So there's a lot of variants. And the cool thing about the Philip Kennedy Johnson series, too, is that there's been a little bit of a time between the original series of Marvel Zombies and the 2019 series that we've had new characters show up. So some of the new characters do show up through that series. There's interviews here about the Merc with the Mouth. That stuff has been collected before, like I said, in the Deadpool and Company Omnibus. This is the Christmas Carol behind the scenes articles, how it all came together. And that's one thing I didn't talk about, like who the creators were. That's Jim McCann, and then Charles Dickens, of course, co-wrote that. I love saying that, because that's how they give him credits. Like, I think, don't they? I know in the past, whenever there's an adaptation of a classic story, they always give credit. So I find it funny. Let's see. Zombies Christmas Carol. Okay, yeah, Jim McCann, and then based on Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, and then David Valdione doing the artwork. So yes, Charles Dickens gets credit in this particular omnibus. And then some recap pages here from the Zombies Destroy and the afterword. And then your end sheet. So let's take a look at this binding. 976 pages. It is sewn binding, and look at that big eye. This one printed at the Mega Printer. So there is minimal bleed through. Of course, it does help that most of the stories through here are told at nighttime. But, I mean, there's very, very minimal bleed through. The paper, it's this thick, glossy paper. It's a little thicker than some of the other books in recent times. And I wanted to show what spread pages look like in this book. And we're looking at the very first issue here. Actually, no, this is the second issue that's collected in here. Apologies for that. But very, very minimal gutter loss. And that's because of that eye. But that's it. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsors. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this omnibus. Let me know in the comments down below if you are picking this up, if you're a big fan of the Marvel Zombies, if you've never read any of the stories in here, and I guess what else would be collected in a volume 3? I guess they would have to write more and more series. But anyway, love to know your thoughts, and if you have any questions, leave them down below. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.